Hi everyone, welcome back to Keeping Up with the Chaldeans. I'm Anthony Toma, your host, along with my co-host here, Esty. We are here today with Nibras Hanna from the Southfield Funeral Home. I know all you are wondering, the Southfield Funeral Home, what are we going to do now? What are we going to talk about? But so Nibras is going to bring everybody up on the way things go today compared to the way they were before, and give you, the funeral etiquette and a little bit more about the whole process and planning and all that good stuff. So Nibras, why don't you talk a little bit, introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself briefly.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for having me here.
Sure.
As you introduced me, my name is Nibras Hanna from Southfield Funeral Home. Been in this industry for going on 9 years now.
Okay.
A little bit about my background. I've actually come from finance and accounting.
Okay. All right.
So that's how I started.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Started at Holy Sepulchre Cemetery doing financials there, and then part sales.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And that's how I had met Jerry, and for 3 years he was after me, and I'm like, nah, that business is not me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's just not something that I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And after so long at the cemetery doing sales and kind of like seeing how the families were coping with death and how I played my role to kind of help them pick out the spots for their loved ones and everything, kind of gave me I don't know how to explain it, but like
A calling.
maybe that. So kind of made me feel like I was doing something
Mm-hmm.
for the family that was putting them at ease.
Oh.
So 3 years passed by. That's when Jerry came in. I'm like, all right, fine,
Okay.
I'll come in. And that was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Made the transition from the cemetery to funeral home.
Yeah.
Ever
So now
since-
you're a partner there?
just this starting January 1st.
Oh.
So Anthony Yono,
Yep.
Tony Yono,
Yep,
Jerry's
Tony.
son, him and I became partners.
Oh, good.
Jerry retired. Of course, he's always welcome. He still has his key. He's always there, That's so. What else?
Just tell us a little bit about what goes on today with a funeral, the whole process. Like somebody passes away, or let's go back. So before someone passes away, like a pre-buying or
Pre-planning.
What are the steps?
So let's talk about pre-planning, and then after pre-planning, we'll talk about the way the funeral goes down and the changes that are the current way it is, and then maybe touch on the way it used to be.
Okay, so what it is right now, our people, we're trying to educate our community on pre-planning.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys know, and I'm sure you guys have been around funerals, people wait till the last second.
Yeah.
God forbid somebody passes away, then they'll start picking up phone calls, call the funeral home, call this, call the church, do everything.
Right.
You're just you're just going crazy, and you're trying to do everything for the very next day, if not the day after that.
Mm-hmm.
We trying to educate a lot of people on pre-planning.
Yeah.
Pre-planning, the way it works, you set up an appointment with the funeral home. You go, kind of pick out everything.
How does one go about setting up an appointment with a funeral home? Like, how would we set up an appointment with you?
So, for example, you call us at the office,
Where are we going to call?
Southfield Funeral Home.
Okay.
You call us, tell us that we want to come out pre-plan.
Mm-hmm.
We'll set up an appointment. We'll have you come in. We'll tell you exactly what you need to bring in with you.
Okay.
We'll walk you through all the steps of what we're gonna do today,
Mm-hmm.
which is technically planning the whole funeral for whoever the loved one is while they're still alive.
So we're not going to identify one. We're going to say there's 5 people in my family. This is what.
Or are you saying when you know someone's sick?
So we're trying to educate them to come even before they're on the urge of passing.
Anything. It's
Okay.
like life insurance,
Yes.
basically.
So the steps are, first we'll get the cemetery property.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the family has 6 people in the family.
I got you. Okay.
We get a family plot.
Yep.
And then you kind of designate
Who goes where?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a touchy subject, of course.
Yeah.
But that's why our
But it's
community,
necessary.
It's part of life.
Yeah.
And
We're all-
the size of the plot doesn't change anyway, right?
No.
So they could be little, big.
No, it's
Wow.
rich or poor, same.
Rich.
old.
How
Yeah.
many do you guys have left?
There's a lot of property. So we
Yeah.
personally don't own the cemetery.
Mhm.
Funeral home can go to any cemetery anywhere technically
Okay.
in the country.
Yeah.
But obviously we just stay local.
Why are most Chaldeans buried, or maybe all Chaldeans buried that pass away in the area, buried at the Holy Sepulchre?
Because everybody at the beginning to start off, obviously in Detroit, they moved up to Southfield.
Mhm.
That's the Catholic cemetery.
Mhm.
That was kind of central of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you notice, we've been going to Whitechapel a lot.
Whitechapel's Catholic also?
No, Whitechapel is not Catholic.
Mm.
Okay, so why are Chaldeans being buried in like
Convenience.
Okay.
Where is that?
For the
located?
east side.
On 18 and Crooks in Troy.
Yeah,
Okay.
east side people. Okay.
Convenience.
And what's the difference? I mean, if you lived your life right properly and you went to confession and you confessed, you're still going to end up in heaven, right?
Mhm.
You have the answer to that for sure.
I'm not a priest, but I can tell
You
you.
see a lot of like angels and everything.
So,
Oh.
does it matter if it's Catholic or not? To some people, don't care. Me personally, I would rather be in the Catholic cemetery.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Now, we do try to educate the East Side community. There are Catholic cemeteries on the East Side.
Oh, there are.
There's in Rochester, there's in Clinton Township. That
Okay.
we service those cemeteries also.
Mhm.
But Whitechapel, I mean, it's a great cemetery.
It's convenient.
It's convenient. It's center of everything.
Mhm.
Troy is the center right now.
Now, on their headstones, they can put a cross, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Is the
Even
Whitechapel-
even not, yeah, the Whitechapel
Is
doesn't.
it Christian? Is that what it is?
It's all denominational. So it can be
Anything?
Jewish.
Wow.
It can be Muslims. It can be anybody.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The headstone, obviously, the headstone represents the person that's laying
Okay,
there.
well, that's fine then.
You can put whatever you want on there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's go back real quick on
Yep,
the
planning.
pre-need. So we got the cemetery covered. We planned whatever the family plot is, whichever section or whichever cemetery that the family chooses.
Mhm.
Then what we recommend is, especially for the elderly, I want to say about maybe 60 or higher, to do a pre-planning for a funeral home individually.
Mhm.
So what we do with that, we open an escrow account.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, total cost is $4,000. We put that money in the escrow account. That money cannot be touched by the state. It can be pulled by the beneficiary, but there'll be penalty.
Mhm.
But the state cannot touch it. What I mean by that is, so God forbid, if that person ends up going to a nursing home, the state exhausts all that individual's money first before the state starts dishing out any kind of funds.
Yeah.
That money for the escrow account cannot be touched.
Right.
So you're kind of securing yourself for that. And that kind of takes the burden away from the children to be paying for the funerals.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
I wanted to ask. I mean, I have so many questions because not often that we meet with someone in this industry. But like, what is the average cost
it could be
for
for
one person?
as the cemetery and a funeral home combined, or
Yeah, just in general.
Like when somebody passes away, what are some of the expenses that go into something like that?
so for the funeral home itself, it could be anywhere between $2,700 to whatever you want to spend,
Mm-hmm.
and that's casket included, vault included, not the headstone.
Yeah.
Cemetery kind of depends on whichever cemetery that you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, like, for example, Holy Sepulchre.
Mm-hmm.
The plots and the digging fees, you're looking at about $3,900.
Mm.
Yeah, but roughly
Wow.
about $3,800, and could go up to $7,000.
Right. But that's
Depends.
like a one time, right?
That's a one-time payment. Everything's a one-time payment, correct?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Depending on cemeteries, some cemeteries are cheaper. Some, all fluctuates.
Yeah.
But the funeral home cost is kind of, doesn't matter what cemetery we service, it's the
Mhm.
same cost.
And like Anthony was saying the other before this conversation, like it used to be like a 3-day, like someone passed away,
Mhm.
and now we're seeing more like a 1 to 2 day. What are you seeing as like the new?
We're actually not even seeing 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, it's 1 day
Yeah.
before the funeral. So, like, let's say if his
Mhm.
funeral is tomorrow, then we'd have a visitation today from like 4 to 8 or whatever the family chooses.
Mhm.
And the following day, we go to the church and have the mass and go to the cemetery.
Mhm.
Now we're kind of shifting more to same day.
Yeah.
So family will come in at 8 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
have a hour
At the
and so
Southfield Funeral Home.
at the Southfield Funeral Home.
Yep.
an hour to have some closure with their loved one.
Mhm.
And we drive off to the cemetery, and then we drive off to the church, and then from the church we go to the cemetery, and then obviously we go to Tazia afterwards, whatever banquet hall they choose.
Yeah, just one day. How do you feel like COVID impacted? I feel like it made it become one day.
No.
Okay.
So prior COVID, we were still shifting this way.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
COVID just made it a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made our wedding smaller or funerals smaller.
Everything.
Funerals didn't get smaller.
Communion's still the
Yeah.
same size. Just kidding.
Yeah, funerals. I mean,
Yeah.
we're averaging at least 250 people per funeral. I mean,
Gotcha.
that's at minimum. So
Yeah.
still a lot of
Yeah.
number.
Did you feel bad for the families during COVID that like couldn't really have?
During COVID was miserable.
Yeah.
And there was one. I shouldn't say one. All of our clergy helped out as much as they could. Cemeteries were not allowing families to come in besides just myself and a clergy member.
Wow.
I will call out Father Pierre. He was, I mean, him and Bishop Francis kind of dedicated Father Pierre, and Father Pierre took that upon himself also to dedicate all his time to just service funerals during that time. And he was with us every single day.
That's so nice.
It was sad. It was
The
sad.
hero.
It was sad that I'm sitting there with the phone trying to record Zoom while the family's watching it through Zoom, and then while he's doing the prayers, and it's just me and him and the cemetery staff.
My goodness.
Not even one family member.
They wouldn't allow. In the beginning, they wouldn't allow any family members.
So sad.
They would keep them kind of by the gate where, and then after everything is done, the cemetery staff has left. Then the family members can come out.
Oh my goodness.
It was horrible.
So terrible.
It was horrible.
Sorry you had to go through that.
We went through a lot of complaining, a lot of fighting with the Diocese of Detroit, because the Diocese of Detroit owned Holy Sepulchre.
Wow.
And little after little, they start easing the rules a little bit, allowing 10 people and then 25 people. But
Yeah.
What did you call them? Diocese?
Archdiocese of
The
Detroit.
Archdiocese really didn't support the people of the church. Like they really looked like they were against the people. Like it was a strange time in the schools, especially. Like where they took the side of the masks mandates and all the mandates, and they went really hard left. It was kind of depressing.
It is sad to say it kind of looked like that.
Mhm.
Now I can't speak for Archdiocese of Detroit, but
Right.
they were trying to follow whatever the regulations that were put up by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we didn't understand is we were outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even California, you mentioned hard left, even California, and we have a funeral home that we deal with in California all the time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I called him, I'm like, Robert, how is it going over there? What's going on? He goes, hundreds of people at the cemetery, nobody cares.
Gee.
Wow.
Because we're all outside. I'm
Yeah.
like, how are you, California doing this, and you're not letting us
Yeah.
have more than 10 people or 25 people?
Yeah. It's terrible.
Did they look out for their community? I want to say they wanted to,
Yeah.
but their hands
Their
were tied.
intentions were good, but the result was bad.
I mean, I'm shocked you said like at one point there was 0 family members. They wouldn't even
Yeah.
allow 1 to 2.
They wouldn't
That's
allow anybody.
That's so
That's crazy.
depressing.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that things have changed,
Mhm.
and now you're seeing it's mostly back to normal.
Now everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
I mean, everything's literally back to normal now. There's no more mandates, no more nothing at the cemeteries.
Mhm.
We could have thousands of people if we really want to.
Yeah.
But it was a sad time.
Yeah. I feel like the people who had, unfortunately, like that situation for their family member, they could do a 1 year or 3 year, 5 year anniversary and have like the funeral they were meant to have. You know what's a
That'd
good
be nice.
question for you? I've been loving, I think, the celebration of life that people have been doing.
Mhm.
That's like new in our community. So what have you seen with that?
I wish every family would do that.
Thank you. That's sweet.
A lot of people might not agree with me, but we have one life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, live it, enjoy it. All of our times are going to come. We're just visiting.
But so aren't people coming? I mean, obviously they're coming to you.
Mhm.
Why can't you make that recommendation? Why can't you develop a package that that is based on the celebration of life instead of a package. And I don't know all your packages or what you offer or what recommendations you make, but why can't it be like, let's do a celebration of life instead of A, B, C, D?
So I would say probably another 5 to 10 years, if maybe sooner,
Yeah.
that's going to be the new normal.
I
Okay.
love that.
Great.
As of right now, my own parents
Mm-hmm.
will call me crazy if I was to do something like that.
Yeah.
So what? Let them call you crazy.
So our
They call
elder-
Elon Musk crazy. They call Einstein crazy. They call everybody crazy.
Yeah.
Be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Our elderly in our
Mhm.
community,
Mm-hmm.
they take that very disrespectful.
They
Not
want
all.
to grieve.
Right,
they
right.
want to be sad. They
Yeah.
want to, what is it called? Like wail.
Mourn.
Mourning and wailing. I mean, we don't need all that.
Yeah.
It's
No.
I get it.
Yeah.
Death is tragic. Death is sad.
Mhm.
There's mourning. I mean, you can mourn the person with a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than going, more. What is
Wailing. Have you seen the
Wailing.
wailing decrease a little bit?
A lot.
Thank
A lot,
God.
yeah.
I actually do understand somewhat why they do it. It probably is like a physical release of emotion.
But now when you hire somebody to come there and wail,
Not the hiring, but those
They don't do that
ladies
anymore.
that
they don't do that anymore. Yeah, of course.
they lost their job.
Unfortunately, they don't do that. Yeah.
Now they
I mean,
got
it's
to
a
go
good
back
thing
to
that
their
they-
husbands and scream at their husband all day.
The good
Yeah.
thing that they don't do that anymore.
I'm curious how this is so random, but I'm curious how the funerals in our old villages are compared to the way we do it.
That's actually a great question.
Okay, so I'll take you back all the way to Iraq.
Take me back.
All right.
And
Are you vaccinated before we take you back there?
Oh my God,
I can get you on
Anthony,
a
we
plane.
can't talk about these things.
Sorry.
So when I was a kid, my dad's uncle was a priest back home
Okay.
in the village. I was not your little angel boy out there.
Okay.
I was a troublemaker.
Okay.
So my dad's uncle, Father Kriakos Alam Hassel, he would grab me by my ear and he would make me come stand right in front of the casket, hold the cross, because from there, you leave the church and then you go to the next door to the cemetery.
Yeah.
And as they're walking, carrying the casket, the priest and the deacons will be praying as they're going to the cemetery. So I would be that person, 7 years old, 8 years old, holding that cross in front of the casket,
Oh my
walking
God.
from the mass, going to the
That's
cemetery.
crazy.
Wow.
And look at you now.
Yeah.
So
it's a
that's
foreshadow.
when I started everything, with the cemetery, and my mom was like to me, "Do you remember when Amokasho used to do that to you?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Look, you went to school for accounting, finance, and all this, and now you're back to what you were doing when you were 7 years
Exactly.
old."
Oh my gosh.
So,
That's
But-
amazing. That
Speaking
is your
of-
calling. That is your calling.
Yeah.
so
You seem like it's a perfect fit for you. But what you just said, sparked something in my mind. So we used to have a cemetery on the church. I'm kind of surprised as a community we don't have this plot of land.
Back in the day.
It's not even ours. It's not
Yeah,
Chaldean. It's not Catholic Chaldean.
it's by the diocese. At one point, there was a talk that we wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Of course, the church would have to be involved, but if
Is
you
it-
find the perfect land
Yeah.
between east and west to
Yeah.
please both communities.
Yeah.
But there's so much land and there's so many business people who own land. I'm kind of surprised they never were let's make a Chaldean only
Yeah.
So you'll need at least minimum 100 acres.
100.
Holy Step is 420 acres.
Oh my God. It's funny you mentioned that too, because I'm in real estate and me and my coworker were talking about how maybe in 100 years, what are they going to do with all these cemeteries when people are going to need more land for housing?
So, as long as it's a Catholic cemetery,
Yeah.
It ain't going nowhere.
exactly.
But do you think random ones, old random ones that people haven't
They
visited
do it.
are going to
It's
start
been
taking-
So
done.
the
It's
ce-
happened.
the cemetery?
Land is going to be rare.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the cemetery rule is that the cemetery goes to the city inherits the cemetery after 100 years after the last person has been buried.
Okay, 100 years.
100 years. So now think about it like this.
Mhm.
This was prior to cremations.
Mhm.
Cremations now, especially
Taking up a lot,
Americans,
yeah.
Polish,
Mhm.
Italians,
It's more eco-friendly to do a cremation.
they will do 5 burials in one plot because
Mhm.
you're burying the ashes.
Yeah.
So that counts as a burial.
Mhm.
Now, is the cemetery ever going to close down?
Right.
We're not going to
I
see
don't
the
think
day.
it's gonna. I don't think ours are, but like maybe the randoms that like people haven't.
Like
Land is gonna be very scarce, and it's our
So
population.
the small cemeteries that you see by parishes,
Mm-hmm.
as long as that parish is still standing, nothing's going to happen
Yeah.
to that cemetery.
Yeah.
Bigger cemeteries, then yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not going to live the day to see it.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
How do you feel about cremation? Like,
We're definitely doing more.
Mm-hmm.
Is that our thing? Not really.
Okay.
Like personally, I wouldn't want to be cremated.
Okay.
But of course, it's up to the family.
Choice, yep.
It's the family's choice.
Yeah.
We do start seeing it more happening every year.
Yeah, I
In
don't
our
really
community.
see it in our community. Why do you feel like people choose that as, just more of their beliefs, or more like what would make someone want to do that as opposed to regular?
I would say probably being more Americanized and seeing what other cultures are doing
Yeah.
and saying like, you know what, I'm not different than so and so.
Yeah.
Why should I just be straight like what Chaldeans do and keep on doing what Chaldeans do for generations and generations?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a true believer of all of our cultures, everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, you have to be buried
Yeah.
traditionally. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
But I can't force that to anybody.
Yeah.
If they want to be cremated, then that's up to them.
Of course. Do you want to say something in Sureth to the audience for the Sureth speaking, maybe the older generation about pre-planning or something like that?
تعالي من ناخذك محكي سورة عجبي ده من ناخو يعني أهم شيء له تعال ما حضروت تجي ناخو لك بوت شوقتني ولدي هاي فايش كله يقرأ يلاخو ما حضروت طلاخو كل من يدها القامة بيشطوا له قد أخذ المهد بقوت طلاخو دقي ناخو so إيه باخد مخبروتني قاو 248-569-8080 called Southfield Funeral Home.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice. So now our Chaldeans speaking, our elderly, they know how to get ready. They'll grab their sons and daughters by the ear now and bring them to the Southfield Funeral Home and get it.
But you'll be surprised
ready.
how many people are scared to do that.
Well, it's okay.
It's a touchy subject.
It's very
Some
touchy
just don't know.
Yeah.
So if they don't know, now they know, and they should be prepared.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this right now, and I'm sure my dad doesn't watch or hasn't seen this, but he's not that type of person to be preparing for anything.
Of course. Of course.
My mom is the complete opposite.
It's a taboo.
It's like Brony Mahder and Kulmindi.
Yeah.
That's everything to be set.
Yep.
Wow.
But my dad's like, no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a very touchy subject. I don't think people want to think about
Yeah.
leaving. I actually asked you this question, like, how does it impact you to work in this industry?
So it impacted me a lot. I do enjoy every second of my life. Even my wife tells me for somebody that deals with depression all day long, you're smiling all day long.
It's beautiful.
And I tell her, I'm like, I come home, 2 little boys and a baby girl.
God
I look
bless.
at them, I'm like, you know what? This is my life.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I be happy?
Absolutely.
Until
100%.
the day that God calls me, then you know what?
Yeah.
So be it. That was my day. But I want everybody to think about that for a second. Always enjoy your life. We're not here forever. Live every moment. Don't kill yourself working. Don't kill yourself with stress. Stress is the number one killer in our community,
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially in our
I
community.
believe it.
Stress is the number one killer. Money is gonna come and go, no matter what.
Such good reminders.
Yeah.
And you see this every day. You witness families mourning, right? Like every day.
Shattered,
So it's
broken apart. It's
so for
terrible.
you, it's been a positive impact because you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I get to like
Yeah.
live with my family, and you know what's going to happen. More, I think sometimes our community doesn't realize we don't like to talk about death,
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
but it's sad. That shouldn't be that way. Like
You
that's
shouldn't
the
be.
most human thing about us is that we die.
You shouldn't be scared of. I mean, it's gonna happen. You shouldn't be
Mhm.
scared of dying. You just have to be ready. Just be ready with God and be ready. You shouldn't be scared. Like Father Pierre and I are very close, and I tell him all the time, like, just make sure you smoke the whole church with Bismol.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I want.
Aw.
So,
That's
and they all know, all the clergy. I tell them, I joke around with them, all of them. And I tell them, look, when it's my day, it's just gonna be probably just us and my wife and the kids, and then just smoke out the whole church.
Yeah.
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
So,
No, it's very, very.
Another thing that you brought up earlier about wearing black.
Yeah. Let me tell them. I asked him, was it before or during?
It was before.
Yeah. So I said, just talking about our culture and traditions, like how do you feel about people wearing black for a year? I think some people wear it for longer than a year.
Mm-hmm.
So me personally, I think till the 40th, after the 40th, you don't need to be wearing black.
Mm-hmm.
You want to celebrate that person.
Yeah.
You don't want to make your life feel miserable for every single day, for a year, for over a year. There's some people that I know that have been wearing black for over 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
I wear it by choice, but
Yeah. I was going to say, asking about black when your choice of color is black.
It is.
So it's not a sin not to wear black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really not. God didn't tell us just because we lost a loved one that we have to punish ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't do that to ourselves. We should enjoy our life,
True.
pray for our loved ones. That's how we'll celebrate their life instead of just crying every single day. There's times that we're gonna cry, of course.
Yeah.
There's times that we're gonna be very sad. We're gonna miss our people.
Mm-hmm.
That's 100%. Nobody's telling you not to.
Yeah.
But just don't carry it over year.
Yeah. How do you feel about people like going out or going on vacation after losing someone? Because I'm not going to lie, this community judges when actually people just went through the hardest thing in their life. The best thing would be to enjoy their life. But what do you think about traditions of doing that?
Traditions, I mean, traveling, I don't think really, unless you're very, very old mentality, then you're canceling everything for a year. But it shouldn't be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that, they lose their loved one and a month later they go on vacation. There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
Canceling weddings.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. Also, non-canceling weddings happens a lot also.
Yeah.
This is not, yes, we love our grandma, we love our grandpa, but this is not back home that, let's say 3 weeks from now is my wedding.
Yeah.
And I lost my grandpa. It's not like back home I can just cancel and move it over 2, 3, 4 months or whatever, because here, US, everything is different. You have your floors, you have your banquet hall, you have everything. If you're canceling that, you've got to wait at least another year or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's another good opportunity to celebrate that person and to mention them during the speech or to mention them during the wedding, and then and celebrate them again. It's
especially if it's like a grandma or grandpa, for example, and they're 80s or 90s. They live their life. Why not celebrate them?
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. I think the whole funeral situation needs to be a celebration of life, like you said, and like I guess what your vision is for it is to celebrate it and not to mourn it. So if people will just open up and you go to American funerals and they're like, it's like not everything's white, everything's bright, everyone's got a smile, everyone's telling stories, everyone's laughing, it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I think and I wish that's the way it would be for us too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys attended Chris Patros' funeral. So So his celebration of life was magical.
I know, I love that.
It's beautiful.
And that's honestly, if we can do that for almost every funeral, that'd be beautiful.
That's
right?
so healing.
But we should call it the Chris Patros effect. That should be
he was one of the first to do that.
I love Hassan. It was
a great one, man.
It was great.
It was a great guy.
That's amazing. I agree. I think it's like, as someone who's lost a parent, I think having that celebration of life is healing because you're spending that time with others celebrating. Where like normally when you grieve, you'll have little pockets of it where it's like a sad and then a happy. But from what I've seen with Chris and like God rest her soul, Diana, like you get to really talk about this person and celebrate them kind of like a wedding.
Yeah.
And we don't do that often.
You want to share their stories. You want to live their moments that they have lived and experienced. And that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
You're celebrating them going to heaven, right? Like we have baptism, we have communion, we have weddings. We should have the most amazing part of going to heaven. Like that should be
Yeah, everything
of a
else gets celebrated.
Definitely.
I mean,
Maybe that would change people's views about dying,
Yeah.
is if we like celebrate it more.
For sure.
we should get Father Pierre in here.
Yeah.
I would love to have him. We would love to have him for sure.
Yeah.
Hello.
If you could talk to him and ask him to come on, we'd love to hear. We'd love to broadcast his message and his, everything that he wants to our people to be and things that are missing in a lot of our people's lives that he could probably shed some light on and tune them into. Be great.
Him and I, like I said, went through a lot
Mm-hmm.
for funerals, and I mentioned his name a couple of times. So for all the other clergy members, I love you all.
What church is he at?
Father Pierre is at St. Thomas.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, we'll have him on. What else do you want people to know about this industry that many people might not know?
Another thing is monuments, memorials,
Yeah.
headstones. A lot of people don't know that the funeral homes do the headstones. They think that just a cemetery or a monument company that will do that. For us, especially for me, I keep most of my focus on monuments,
Mm-hmm.
large projects, even if it's small headstones. I take my time with those, perfect them, because that's going to be there forever.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we don't want to just make something that just looks blah and then just put it at the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that it's perfect, it's beautiful, that every time the family
Custom.
goes to, correct. Every time the family goes to visit,
Mhm.
they see their loved one, and of course they want to see something beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that just done fast and lousy and whatever. So for those of you that do order a lot of granites and stuff, we ask that just be patient. We try to make them beautiful, but that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the average time for like a monument?
It used to be, for smaller headstones, it used to be about 4 to 6 weeks. Now it's roughly about 8 to 9 weeks.
Okay.
It's not too bad.
Larger monuments used to be about 6 months. Now we're looking about a year and some. All that because
A year. Wow.
yeah.
It's detailed. It's giant. It's big. It takes a
Yeah.
lot of
It's
work.
not. It's more of coring the granite.
Mm.
Coring the granite?
Yes.
Really?
Granite comes from
So
all
there's a
over.
shortage now?
Even the photos, the ceramic photos that we make for memorials,
Mm-hmm.
even that is being shorted.
Oh.
Wow.
Granite we get granite from all over the country. I mean, even outside of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Some from South Africa, some from South America, all over the place.
Gotcha.
There's a quarry that I deal with all the time that we're staffing 420 people. They're down to 105. So that's
Wow.
delaying everything.
Wow.
So,
That's unbelievable.
Just for our viewers, like what is the average cost or the, scale of the cost for those?
for monuments,
Sure.
the flat headstones, for example, those that just sit on the grave,
Mhm.
those can be anywhere between $700 to $1,400. Customized monuments, if you go up to like say 7 feet tall,
Wow.
6 feet wide, you're looking depending on how custom we're going, it could be anywhere between 20 to 50,000.
Oh wow.
And it could go a lot higher too.
So if you have so our family has the Hanna Shimon one.
Mhm.
Now, there are others, like his children, children are buried within, right?
Mhm.
Does it make sense to put a monument, put next to a monument? Or is the monument the main one?
So the monument is the main one that represents the whole family.
Correct.
Like in Europe, and you said
Qashamun.
it says Qashamun, and
Yeah.
that represents the Qashamun family.
Yep.
And everybody, God rest their soul, that are buried there
Mm-hmm.
will have an individual plaque.
Yep.
And that will have their information, date of birth, date of death, and etc. But the monument is considered as a family monument.
For the entire family.
Correct.
So you drive through, you see Yono and Situ and Qashamun
Yeah,
and
it's all.
Yeldu and 15 Yeldus, 25 different Yeldus.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Yeah.
There's a lot of Yeldus, the best people.
And that's another thing also we're talking about monuments, and I want to bring this up. For those of you that do prefer Whitechapel, just understand that, and we explain this to everybody, Whitechapel does not allow anything above ground. Everything has to be flat.
Whoa, that's different.
Yeah, they don't, and it has to be bronze only.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
because we get a lot of phone calls, people asking us saying, oh, Nebraska, we bought 10 graves. We want to put a statue for the family. I'm sorry, we cannot do that at
They
that
don't
cemetery.
allow
The
it.
cemetery doesn't allow it.
No statue.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Well, so we close out every show by asking the guest, what does it mean to you to be Chaldean?
What does it mean to me to be Chaldean? I mean, culture.
Yep.
What can I say? Our values.
Mm-hmm.
Our families. I don't think there's another community that has stronger family ethics than us.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Love
All right.
that.
Well, thanks for joining us. I
Thank
hope
you.
everyone got an earful and enough information to kind of make some life decisions and death decisions, and to give you a call. And if they have any other questions, they should give you a call, set up a pre-planning, and go from there. Thanks for
Yes.
joining us.
Thank you for having me, and obviously it was a pleasure, and hopefully we don't scare any viewers.
No. Thank you for what you do. Your role is so
Absolutely.
important in our
It really is.
community, and we really appreciate you.
Our team is we treat our families like our own family. That's what makes us kind of unique. From myself, Anthony, Veronica, Justin. I mean, we literally treat every family that comes through our door like our own personal families.
I feel like you guys do provide like a sense of comfort
Absolutely.
when you guys are like a stranger. So I do.
For sure. And
acknowledge
I
that.
can't wait for the culture shift to the celebration of life.
Yeah.
And I hope you spearhead that.
Well, if I go anytime soon,
You'll
If any
see.
of us go anytime
Yeah.
soon, have a celebration of life for us.
you'll be enjoying it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone for joining us.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.